Hi, I'm Captain Harcourt Fenton Mudd. Mr. Mudd, why are you carrying a cargo full of women? Because the plot is really badly written, Captain. Hello and welcome to another episode of TrekHammer, where we are talking about every single episode of Star Trek from the start right through to the latest episodes. Today, we're talking about Star Trek The Original Series, Season 1, Episode 6, Mudd's Women. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a bad episode. It's actually Star Trek's first bad episode. And I'm not going to say it's because of the sexism involved, because there is a morality tale here. And the morality tale is actually quite interesting. Whether this Venus drug that they're using is actually doing anything, or whether it's just the inner beauty coming out through self-confidence and being really reassured of how you fit into the galaxy. I liked that part of it, especially at the end where Mudd and Kirk are on the same side, tricking one of the women who's been using these drugs into seeing that she has beauty and self-worth and self-confidence of her own. That was great. I loved that bit. My problem is that Mudd is really, really badly written in this episode, and that's what fundamentally it comes down to. Kirk, at the start, is chasing this ship through an asteroid belt. We're going to put aside the fact that every single science show always depicts asteroid belts as far too dense for what they actually are. Unless a planet or a planetoid is recently broken up, there wouldn't be that many rocks together, let's put it that way. But he's chasing them into this asteroid belt, and the guy is trying his best to flee. He's losing all of his power, and Kirk is actually burning out lithium crystals that the ship runs on, because they haven't brought in dilithium yet. I remember in a biography, I think it was Gene Roddenberry's biography, where someone pointed out after this episode had been written and filmed that lithium was an actual element, so they just called it dilithium from after that. I love that idea, that you didn't know lithium was an element. It's great. But they're going in, and Kirk is burning out the crystals that they need to run the ship, which is the first time we've actually had dilithium crystals referenced properly. And he's burning them out to get this person out. Not because he wants to catch them at this point, but because Kirk has taken the decision that we can't let those people who have put themselves in danger die just because we chased them into an asteroid belt. So he goes in and risks the ship with all 400 people on board to rescue 4 people. That's Captain Kirk. The needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many in many of Kirk's decisions. So we get a good view of Captain Kirk there. Then he brings Mudd on board. Mudd comes on his own and then brings the women on board, which I think shows Mudd to be a rather nasty character. I will go first to make sure it's safe, kind of thing, and then bring them on board. Also, Mudd is a confidence trickster, but he talks about his plans in front of 2 security guards who are watching him to make sure he doesn't do anything dodgy. He talks about his plans to take over the ship. Mudd is really, really badly written. And that's why I don't like this episode. Because there is some good in here. It's the first Star Trek bad episode, but there's still some good in it. The idea of, yes, all these lonely people out in the wilds, in the midst of the galaxy, they're looking for companionship. Perfectly fine. We had the same thing happen in the Old West, where people would put adverts looking for wives, or wives would have put adverts looking for husbands in newspapers. And that type of thing happened. People did make contracts to go and find people out in the frontiers. So that I didn't have an issue with, because it's historically accurate and probably will happen again when the galaxy gets colonized. What I had a problem with is Mudd essentially trying to trick these women into taking drugs to look beautiful so that he can essentially sell them on to these people for a high profit. I didn't like that because, yeah, he knows it's not real, and they do think it's real, and to a certain extent it might be real, but then it's not. It was a bit weird. For him to suddenly about face at the end, it just didn't make sense. Also, how can I put this? Mudd's plan doesn't work. He apparently has contracts to take them to certain places and then make a profit. he then just ditches those contracts and goes and tries to make a deal somewhere else instead. And that's how he tries to get the ship, and all of this through the use of the miners who are collecting dilithium crystals from the mines and all of that. So what's he going to do about those other contracts? Is he just planning to ditch them, or is he planning to get more women and do the same thing with those contractors? It's never explained, so his plan is weird and it doesn't fully go through. And as a result, we don't get a rounded villain. We get this git who's just causing trouble on the Enterprise, which means that the episode isn't fun because we don't get to see how his plan plays out. We don't get to see whether it's going to work or not. We just get a very linear story. The part where one of the women decides that since people don't like her, like, oh, why don't you just draw lots and the loser gets me, and then she runs off. That was great. I love that because it's finally getting to the point of, even with the tablets that apparently make you beautiful, you still don't have any self-confidence. It's not going to work for you. I like that. That was really good. Beauty isn't everything. That's what the entire episode's about. That's great. But again, it comes down to Mudd. He's the part that doesn't work. If he hadn't been there and these women were taking these tablets and making this decision on their own, it wouldn't have actually changed the episode. And that's what it comes down to. Mudd doesn't need to be there for the episode to work. And as a result, he kind of just pulls you out of it. So I think it would have been nice if they'd had another draft of this. And as a result, I can't give it more than, really, a warp factor of 4 at most. But there we are. That's my view on it. I think taking Mudd out of it would not have changed the episode. Putting more emphasis on the fact that it's not the tablets that are making the women beautiful, it's their self-confidence, the confidence in themselves, and that projecting outward that makes them appealing. Things like that. That would have worked so much better. And yes, there is a huge amount of sexism in the episode, but I think the morality tale at the middle of it is not what's a problem. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, because I know that the Hardcore Fenton Mudd is a reasonably popular TOS character. I just don't think he's used well in this episode, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether he was used well, or whether you agree with me that he doesn't actually put anything into this episode and really detracts from it. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Remember to click that like button and share it with your friends so that they'll know what's been going on with Star Trek 2. But until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk Robinson. You've been watching TrekHammer. Live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk Robinson. And I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Botterini. Thank you so much, guys.